hurricane, which we lived through. But then I was also handed the fact that I had to talk about the schoolhouse on Mystic. We did have a schoolhouse here on Mystic, on Missions Island, on the north end, right near where the Briggs now live. And I went to school there in the afternoon for about 2 weeks in the fall because my mother didn't want to go back to New Jersey. The weather was too nice. So I walked with a maid that we had who was a Belgian who couldn't speak very good English, so she went to school with me and guided me on the walk from the house where Bill Foster now lives to the schoolhouse next to the Briggs. But we walked right smack up to the middle of the island because there had been cows and sheep, and there wasn't a tree, there was nothing to impede our walk. It was a lovely walk. But I had never been to a one-room school in my life. And the schoolhouse there is pretty much like the one that's at the Mystic Seaport now. And I have since heard that the one that was here on Mason's Island is now in the Smithsonian. I think Ralph Halsey has seen it, right? The funny part about this school was it was run, not really the funny part, but it was an impressive thing to me. It was all ages, I mean, little kids, big kids, all kinds, all in one room. And our teacher's name was Georgie Fulton. Now, Georgie Fulton must have been quite a person because how she ever handled maybe 12 to 15 kids in one room, I have no idea. But anyway, Herb Stoops did a portrait of Georgie Fulton, which I was going to bring down today, but due to the rain, I couldn't get it out of the library. So if any of you are interested in looking at a picture of Georgie Fulton, she's right in the Mystic Knowing Library. But she ended up, after Sody and I were married, Georgie used to come and visit Herb Stoops, and she always came in a sedan car, and she had a turkey on the front seat with her. And his name was Mr. Tom Turkey, so wherever Georgie went, Tom Turkey too. That was quite a person. I don't think there's anything more I can tell you about the school, but I'm sure that Jody Schmidt could tell you more things about that school. Now to get the 38 hurricane. That was quite a storm. It was on the 21st of September, good old limestone day, as we all know. And we had a lot of rainy weather, really a lot of rainy weather, but that day was perfectly lovely. And I suggested my good husband, it might be nice to go over and see the circuit Watch Hill. And he said he didn't think so. He thought we might be going to get some bad weather. So I said, yes, that's fine. Well, anyway, the wind blew and blew and blew and blew and blew harder and harder and harder and harder. And by about 2:30 that afternoon, the tide was coming in over the road. I don't know whether any of you know where the Milsons live, right down on the water. Well, the tide was coming over the road. So my Aunt Marjorie, who was Linda Watkins' grandmother, and her daughter Marnie were living in the house up the hill, which I believe belonged to somebody by the name of Perry now. Anyway, they were scared to death because the trees on Money Point were going, and you couldn't hear one sound. It's incredible. You could see the trees just go. You couldn't hear a sound. There was a terrific roar outside, so the trees made no noise whatsoever. So Aunt Marge and Marnie came down to our house, and we were going to wait out the storm. Well, it was quite a long wait. The tide kept getting higher and higher and higher, and it finally started coming in the house. Then it got up to the inside the living room, so we all went upstairs on the second floor. So there we stayed. And along about 11:30, my good husband decided that maybe the tide let down a little bit, so he'd go out and look. So he ventured outside. And about 11:30, Sody first took Aunt Marge across water up to her knees to Aunt Marge's house up the hill. Then he took Marnie across. Then he took Karen across. Then he took me across like this with Martha. And we spent the night at Aunt Margie's house that night. The next morning, we had a look around to what had happened to the house. Well, the window in our bedroom had blown out completely, and the bed that we had been sleeping in landed in the cove up in back of Ellen Scott's house. Also, we had a 1,000-gallon oil tank beside the house. Of course, that was empty in September, so that floated out of the garage, out of the ground. our Ford station wagon, wooden one, floated out of the garage into the hole where the septic and the oil tank had been. And that morning, I looked at it, that station wagon had a canvas roof, I believe it was, and there was hay growing out of the roof. Marsh grass had just got all into that car. So the morning after the hurricane, after we'd seen all this lovely stuff, we decided we better get off the island. And Carlos, one of our artist friends, drove down. How he ever got across the riding way, I don't know, but he got there. And he took a car, and so did me, off the island. And Marge and Marty stayed there. And when we were going off the island, I had heard that my original house, which is Bill Foster's house, had been absolutely collapsed. But the house next door didn't have a shingle blown off. I don't know why. And also the Bill Jones house was smashed to smithereens across the road. There was nothing left of that house at all. So we went up to Mystic, and from there on, I didn't come back to Mason's Island until the next spring. We had a bunch of damage. And